Welcome to Clothesline Theatre. We have been waiting for you to tune in to hear tales of Prince Edward Island, a place of history and some mystery. You may be surprised by the true stories that have been unearthed and brought to life by our radio dramas. We invite you to settle into a comfortable chair and let the voices and sounds trigger your imagination as you hear the following dramatic story.
The following drama, The Murder of Patrick Lamb, was recorded by storytellers from across Canada attending a workshop presented by Culture Summerside at the 2014 National Storytellers Conteurs du Canada conference hosted in Summerside, Prince Edward Island in July 2014. The voice actors will be named in the credits at the end of the drama.
The summer of 1829 was no different than any other summer in the British colony of Prince Edward Island. There never seemed to be a day without a wind blowing onto the red-soiled isle, either from the cold and often angry Gulf of St. Lawrence on the north side, or the more temperate Northumberland Strait on the south side. The tenant farmers, beholden to the absentee British landowners and their agents, did their best to carve out a living on their small but fertile farms. Fishermen in small boats took to the waterways to harvest the bounty of the sea, while larger sailing ships raced to carry the products of the island to faraway markets and bring back needed and desired goods, such as the much sought-after black rum. Shopkeepers, housewives, and children went about their work and play. Nothing was amiss in the colony on that last week of July, until hands not occupied in constructive work brought about considerable sensation.
Good morning, missus, and a fine morning it is with the sun coming out after that gentle rain last night.
It is shaping up to be a fine day. That rain should really help bring the hay crop on. When do you plan to start the haying?
It will be a long, cold island winter, so I want to make sure I get all the growth there is to be had before I take the scythe to it. I'm thinking the second week of August will be a good time to start.
Sit down for your porridge before it's cold. That will give you good time to finish up all the other chores and get in a day or two of fishing for cod to salt down for the winter.
I've been thinking. The turnips are hoed, the potatoes have a good hill on them, and the barn and house are freshly whitewashed. So today I'll go into Green's Shore on a little business.
Well, that little business better have nothing to do with cards and rum, Patrick Lamb. I'll be having none of that.
Show a little faith in me, missus. I believe I work hard and deserve a little break now and then, but I'm not a man of excess.
You're Irish, Patrick. Oh, I can guarantee you that will be Michael Whalen looking for his jacket and the papers he left here the other night. Come in. The door's open.
Morning, folks. Well, I left my jacket here the other night.
Indeed you did. I'll fetch it for you.
I'm going into Green's Shore. Will you join me?
Don't mind if I do.
Things transpired like this. On Thursday, July 23rd, 1829, when a man of real solid character would have been doing some productive work, Lamb, joined by Whalen, headed out straight after breakfast from his farm in St. Eleanor's to Green's Shore, where James Kehoe was licensed to sell spirituous liquors. Kehoe had just brought a shipment from the Caribbean aboard his own schooner.
Morning, Patrick. Morning, Michael. What are you about today?
Just looking for a day away from the farm and the hot sun beating down upon our backs in the fields.
It seems you're not alone in your thinking. Thomas Tobin and James Doyle have arrived as well, looking for someone to play cards with. It must be an Irish holiday. Go inside and I'll bring in a gallon jug of the new stuff.
Good indeed. I have a powerful thirst on me today. It's the sun, you know. Morning, boys. James said we'd find you looking for partners for 45s.
Morning. Yes, that's right. Let's have a game. I'll take Whalen for a partner, and Tobin, you can have Lamb.
I don't like to play with Lamb. Kehoe, you be my partner.
Not today, Tom. There's too much work to be done, and if I stop, the wife will be after me.
Fine, if it has to be that way. You'll be my partner, Lamb. Now stay awake and pay attention.
I'll play a hand or two as your partner, Doyle. I'm feeling lucky today.
Skill, not luck, is what you need, Michael.
It was 11 in the morning when the first cards were dealt. By 5 in the afternoon, the 4 were still going strong. Another gallon and a half of rum had been brought to their table, some for general drinking and some for the one who took the rubber in each game. Suddenly things went awry. Tobin's wife came looking for him, but that was trivial in comparison to what unfolded.
Thomas Tobin, the day is gone, the work's not done, and you're in no shape to do it.
If all you can do is nag, get home with you. The work will be there tomorrow.
I'm tired of playing for rum. I have a sovereign I'm willing to wager.
You liar. You ain't got no sovereign. Do you know what a liar deserves?
Thomas, what are you doing? Stop!
Thomas Tobin struck Patrick Lamb so hard across the face that he was knocked off his chair. He struck his temple on the bricks of the fireplace as he went down. Mrs. Tobin jumped between her husband and Lamb, but for some reason James Doyle felt a need to get in on the action. He landed a powerful blow with his foot into Lamb's side just above the hip. Though Whalen and Mrs. Tobin tried to intervene, Tobin and Doyle just kept going at the helpless Lamb.
Stop it! Stop it! What's wrong with you? Enough, I say! Enough! Patrick, come on, man. Put your arm around me. I'll run my neck. I will pull you up.
Tobin and Doyle struck blows to the back of Whalen's head and shoulders, forcing him to drop Lamb back to the floor and flee the room. They went back to hitting Lamb. When the two were satisfied they had finished the job, they stumbled back into their chairs and lifted another glass of rum to their lips.
It's the last time he'll go on about money he don't have.
Thomas Tobin, get up out of that chair. I'm taking you home right now. And you come as well, Doyle, before there's any more trouble.
You'll be okay, Lamb. A good beating never hurt anyone. This settles the score.
The score between the men had something to do with an anchor that disappeared the previous year on Tobin's boat. No other patrons of the drinking establishment assisted Lamb, as most of them were sleeping off their own excesses. The badly beaten man managed to drag himself through the drinking establishment, over the threshold, and into the yard. There he lay helpless.
Oh my, Mildred. Look at that drunken man over there.
Please, please help me. I'm badly hurt.
Well, if you're full of rum and been fighting, you deserve to be hurting.
Please, somebody. I'm dying. Thomas Tobin killed me.
If you're still breathing, you're living. Nothing good ever came out of mixing cards, drink, and money. I've never been inside James Kehoe's establishment, but I know what goes on in there.
Pity the woman married to him. I've not much use for men who like the drink.
Please, somebody help me. Can somebody get my missus? I'm dying.
He's in bad shape. We better get him inside.
We'll put him on the floor in the back.
My heart is hurt.
Should I get his missus?
Just let him be. He'll get over it and go off home when he's ready.
I think I'll stay with him throughout the night.
Patrick Lamb lay on the floor of the drinking house from Thursday evening through to Sunday morning in horrid pain. People went about their business around him, not knowing what to do. His wife was sought, and on Saturday evening a clergyman was brought to him. Mrs. Lamb went for the landowner Thomas Compton, who came and took a statement from the injured man and sent for the authorities in the colony capital 45 miles away. Witnesses were to later say they had never seen anyone so badly bruised and beaten.
Please help me. I can't make my water. Can someone get me help?
Early Sunday morning, the authorities arrived, and Thomas Tobin and James Doyle were taken into custody and charged with desperate assault. But by the time the arresting party and prisoners arrived in Charlottetown, tidings of the agonizing death of Patrick Lamb reached them. The charge changed to willful murder. Tobin and Doyle were not willing to go down without a fight. To be found guilty of murder was to go to the gallows. They hired a defense lawyer and were able to stall the proceedings 15 times within a couple of months. In the meantime, the prosecution was building its case. They wanted to know precisely how Lamb had died and ordered his body dug up and examined by Surgeon John McKeown.
Open the box and put the body on the church bench. The smell will be too bad to take him back to the office. Now keep the flies off me while I examine the late Patrick Lamb. Pass me my knife and let's get this job done.
What are you seeing?
Look at the size of that worm in his stomach. He must have spent most of his time eating to feed that fellow.
I meant, sir, are you seeing any clues to the cause of death?
It's right there. I can see where his bladder has been ruptured by a violent blow. No wonder this death was horrific. Yes, sir, no wonder. Put the poor sod back in the ground.
When Tobin and Doyle appeared in court, their defense was that the bladder rupture was likely caused when Lamb fell against the hearth, or perhaps by disease, for he was known to have problems with gravel in the bladder. It took the jury half an hour to decide there was no malice on the part of the prisoners in the death of Patrick Lamb, and they delivered a verdict of manslaughter. The judge ordered both men to be branded on the hand, which was done right there in the courtroom. Taking into consideration time already served waiting trial, he sentenced Doyle to 6 months imprisonment in the Charlottetown jail and Tobin 2 months. The judge, his worship, had final word.
I warn all of you in this court today to be aware of the ills of excessive drink. Thomas Tobin and James Doyle, your act against Patrick Lamb is, in my mind, murder of the blackest dye, notwithstanding the verdict of the jury. But be assured that in future days each of you will stand before a more awful bar to answer to the crime which hangs upon your soul.
The Murder of Patrick Lamb, presented by Wyatt Heritage Properties Incorporated. Narrator, Goldie Spencer, Toronto, Ontario. Patrick Lamb, David Merlot, Talon Lake, North Ontario. Mrs. Lamb, Karen Gumo, Calgary, Alberta. Michael Whalen, Stephen Lambert, Campbellton, New Brunswick. James Kehoe, Jack Howard, Toronto, Ontario. James Doyle, Norm Walker, Regina, Saskatchewan. Thomas Tobin, Albert Fowler, Victoria, British Columbia. Mrs. Tobin, Pearl Ann Gooding, Wainwright, Alberta. Lady 1, Sylvie Below, Montreal, Quebec. Lady 2, Jennifer Beck, Summerside, PEI. Dr. Mackison, Yves Robitaille, Montreal, Quebec. Gravedigger, Gil Winham, Bedford, Nova Scotia. Judge, Peter Langleaf Jarvis, Edmonton, Alberta. The Foleys were Callie McCath-Moran, Bedeck, Nova Scotia. Cindy Campbell-Stone, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Musician, Christine Anderson-Gallant. Researcher, Jean McKay. Writer, Marlene Campbell. Introduction to Clothesline Theatre, provided by Lowell Eustace. Introduction to Drama and Cast List provided by Peter Gallant. Recording artist, Peter Gallant.